Hi, welcome back. It's been a while, but I'm back, and I want to show you something. I grew up with the old but stable Gameboy Classic. This unit is the original beast, dating from 1989, meaning it's a whopping 31 years old, which means that I now feel old as well. I can clearly remember the first time I saw this thing on launch day, and I was truly impressed by it. Now I got this particular unit from a colleague of mine, who has a whole attic full of classic gaming hardware. It was in fairly good shape, to be honest, other than being yellowed, like most DMG-01 units. The inners were like new, so I replaced the original shell with a new plastic shell. This set me back only like $10. There's the option to use chemicals like a mixture of Retrobrite to bring back the original color. But why flirt with dirty chemicals when I can safely swap the case? Anyway, when that was done, I powered on the unit. You see, it's 2020, and we've come a long way when it comes to technology. You might even say we're spoiled brats when it comes to current screens. The viewing angles are non-existent. There's screen tearing, and the contrast slider on the side does nothing favorable. Luckily, also in 2020, technology caught up. Compare this to the Retro Pocket that I own, and this trendsetter needs an upgrade fast, so we're going to save it from being disposed into a trash compactor. I ordered an IPS screen kit from China, and it came with a new screen board, which translates the processing towards the new IPS screen. The IPS screen, of course, which came with a bracket, which is a plus, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. 3M double-sided tape to connect the screen to the case itself, a new cover screen for the front case, and a ribbon cable, which connects from the new board to the original motherboard. Per usual, I'm going to speed up the points where I detach or attach screws, but it's without saying that you need to open up the case in order to get where you need to be. Which gives you this. On top you see the original motherboard, and down below the original screen board, which outputs to the data screen. We're going to replace that board and leave the motherboard untouched. Now to be clear, this is a fairly easy mod, which requires a tiny fragment of soldering later on, but other than that, it's really easy. The biggest problem I had is that I went pretty much blind and had to figure some things out on my own. After removing the screen board, remove the buttons and rubber domes to get a clean case. Remember, this case is a brand new clone shell, so there's actually no dirt. You might have to clean it up if you're using the original case. I removed the front plastic screen. This one was new as well, but we have another replacement now. Now the IPS screen is a tad larger than the original screen, so in order to fit it in, I need to remove the top plastic pillars. There are different methods to do this. I chose to hard pinch them with a plier to weaken them on multiple sides, and the next part is to sand them down to make them even with the case. I also needed to sand down the edges of the screen in order to make full use of the screen capacity. Next up is placing the 3M double-sided tape to hold the screen. Now the trick is to place the sticker as a whole into the case. Don't try to pull out the midsection. You will regret this for sure, as afterwards you'll be constantly fixing the edges, messing up the sticker. Then just push out the midsection. Now the bracket I was talking about is a lifesaver. There are older mods out there that do not come with this, but I advise you to opt for the one with a bracket. Not only does the bracket protect the screen, ribbon and PCB, but it also makes it easy to just slide it in there on the other plastic pillars. Just press it firmly down, get those buttons back in there, and we're over to the next phase. Now here's where you need to have a little bit of technique. Because it's soldering time, the only thing I needed to do was to desolder the original speaker from the board and place it on a new board. Now I'm not the best soldering soldier out there, but I've soldered mod chips onto motherboards into retro consoles before, so desoldering is easy. It's just the part getting it back on a new board that is irritating. In some weird way, the solder always breaks away from the board, especially onto this board, cause the wires kept getting loose. I chose to solder the wires on both sides. It's not the prettiest sight, but it works. They are firmly attached, and let's be honest, you can't see them in a closed unit, so who cares? From this point on, we are on easy street again. Attach the ribbon cable from the IPS screen into the above connector and put back the original screws, which are less than the original board needed. Now this is a little tricky, but doable. This ribbon cable needs to be attached from the original motherboard to the new screen board. My tip is to put the case like this and attach the other end in with a push. That's it. That was the hard part. Now to put the unit back together. And it did not power on. I checked everything again to only come to the simple conclusion the batteries I was using were empty. Of course, so I put on my trusty envelopes and it worked. Now put on the final touch. As picky as I am, I could still see a really tiny line of edges which I sanded down. But this wasn't a deal breaker. Let's see what the results are. They are just mind-blowing. To be real, this is what I thought the screen looked like in 1989 in my memories. Being confronted with the original screen and then seeing this IPS screen is... well, you can see it for yourself. There are actual viewing angles, no screen tearing, and every pixel is super crisp. You can adjust the contrast setting from dark to a whopping white glare. There's even the option to change the black and white option to a variety of color schemes by holding down the select button and pushing up on the contrast switch. The original screen was given a proper burial as the Game Boy as a whole is reborn again. Did you like this video? Check out my other mod and repair videos and give this video a like. And don't forget to comment on how good or bad I did with this mod. But most importantly, don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you on a next video.